Good day, everyone. Let's continue our topic for today. And we are going to talk about the third type of rubrics. And it is all about holistic rubrics. So, what do you think is holistic rubrics? Okay, what is it? Let's read the definition. A student's performance or output is evaluated by applying all criteria simultaneously, thus providing a single score based on an overall judgment about the quality of students' work. It does not provide a score on each individual criterion. So, meaning, let's break down the statement. Okay, a holistic rubric, so it is a way of grading where the teacher looks at the student's work as a whole instead of grading it each part separately. So when the statement says all criteria are applied simultaneously, it means the teacher is thinking about all the aspects at the same time, like the ideas, the organization, the clarity, and the presentation. But they do not give separate scores for each one, okay? Now, so instead, the teacher will ask themselves, like for example, overall, how good is the student's work, right? So they're going to ask that question. So after looking at the work of their students, the teacher gives one final score that represents the overall quality of the performance or output. So this is called overall judgment because the teacher decides that the grades based on the general impressions, right? And the general impressions of the entire work. Okay, so another important point is that a holistic rubric does not give scores for individual criteria. That means the teacher will not give separate grades for things like grammar, creativity, or organization. Everything is combined into one score. Okay, to understand this further, let's have this example. Okay, so this example shows how a holistic rubric is used to evaluate, let's say, for example, a student's speech. Okay, in the picture, a student is presenting a speech while the teacher evaluates the performance, okay, using a holistic rubric. And then the rubric contains different score levels, okay? So, let's say for example, level 1 to 4, okay? And each level describes the overall quality of the performance. Okay, so check the picture so that you understand what I mean. Okay, for example, a score of 4 means the speech is very clear, confident, and well organized. A score of 3 means the students presented clear ideas but made some minor mistakes. A score of 2 indicates that some ideas are unclear and the delivery is weak, while a score of 1 means the speech is confusing and poorly presented. So, in this example, the student was able to present clear ideas but made a few small mistakes and seemed a bit nervous while speaking. Because of this, overall performance, the teacher judged that the speech best fits the description of level 3. Okay, therefore the students receives a final score of 3, which means the performance is considered good. This shows that in a holistic rubric, the teacher evaluates the work as a whole and gives one overall score instead of scoring each part separately. Okay, now let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of holistic rubrics. Okay, now let's um, dig deeper into this topic, guys. Okay, for the advantages of holistic rubrics. Okay, let's read the first one. It is faster and easier to grade. Faster and easier to grade. So, meaning uh, teachers can grade work more quickly because they only give one overall score instead of scoring many categories. Okay, let's say for example, if a teacher has 40 essays to check, okay, they can read each essay and quickly decide the overall level. Let's say, for example, it's excellent, good, fair, or poor, instead of grading content, grammar, and organization separately. So, in holistic rubric, it is faster and easier to grade. Now, let's move on to the second advantage of holistic rubric. Second one is it is simple to use. Yes, it is correct. Because in holistic rubrics, it is very easy for both teachers and students to understand because the scoring system is simple. So let's say for example, a rubric with levels like 4 means it's excellent, 3 means it's good, 2 means it's fair, or 1 needs improvement. So the students can easily understand how well they performed. Yes, guys. And the third one is it focuses on overall quality. So, meaning this rubric focuses on the general quality of the student's performance, not just the small mistakes, okay? So, for example, in a speech presentation, a student might make a few mistakes or grammar mistakes, but still deliver a clear and confident speech. So the teacher can still give a high score based on the overall performance. Okay? Okay. And now let's move on to the disadvantages of holistic rubrics so that we further understand. Okay? So first is it provides less detailed feedback. So, meaning although it is very quick and it's very easy to use, since there is only one score, students may not know exactly what part of their work needs improvement. So, let's say, for example, if a student receives score 2, they may not know if the problem is the grammar or the organization or the ideas, the presentation. So that is the problem or the disadvantage of holistic rubric. It does not provide a detailed feedback. Okay? And now the second one is it's difficult to identify strengths and weaknesses. Why? Because everything is combined. Yeah. You know that, and how can you identify the strengths and weaknesses of the students when everything is combined? It is harder to see which parts of the work are strong and which parts need improvement. So let's say, for example, a student's essay may have first we have it have excellent ideas or but poor grammar. With a holistic rubric, when you're using a holistic rubric, both are combined into one final score. So the teacher cannot clearly show which part needs improvement. Okay, that is just the problem for holistic rubrics. And the last disadvantage of holistic rubric is it may be less objective. Why? Since the teacher gives a score based on overall judgment, the grading may be sometimes depend on the teacher's opinion. Okay? So, for example, two teachers might read the same essay. One teacher gives score like 4 and another teacher gives score 3 because their overall impressions are slightly different. So, in simple terms, holistic rubrics are simple, fast, and focus on overall performance, but they give less detailed feedback and may not clearly show the student's strengths and weaknesses. So, in conclusion, a holistic rubric is an assessment tool used to evaluate a student's work by looking at the overall quality of the performance. Instead of giving separate scores for different criteria, the teacher makes an overall judgment and gives one final score. This type of rubric is simple and efficient, especially when evaluating tasks like essays, speeches, and presentations. However, while it makes grading faster, it may provide less detailed feedback about specific strengths and weaknesses. Overall, a holistic rubric helps teachers assess students' performance in a clear and practical way. So, I think that will be all for my topic. I hope that everyone understand and thank you for listening and God bless you all.